All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast. Talking about the 2022 Cyclocross World Championships in Fayetteville, Arkansas. You heard that right, Arkansas. And for those who haven't been, that part of Arkansas, absolutely stunning. Bunch of us have been up there between Fayetteville, Bentonville, all that whole area, generally considered to be Northwest Arkansas, NWA. If you're a fan of good road riding, gravel rides, single track, forget it. It's absolutely unbelievable. So put that on your radar. Today's show brought to you by ZWIFT. Now, all you regular listeners know, all right, I am an outdoor kitty. All right. I got claws. I haven't been declawed. I don't hang out inside. I resisted forever. And I am amongst the converted, whether it be our WEDÖ Wednesday rides that George shows up for about half of, or the Suffer Sundays, which we've just been crushing it on. I have one little bone to pick on the WEDÖ Wednesday ride, but actually for everybody else that's on the ride. I still don't understand. I'm at 8,000 feet. George down there, sipping tea at sea level. and he's like 200 people ahead of me. It's not a good look for me, but it's been fun.
They start out pretty fast in those. I'm still finishing in the, upper 100th places. I'm not in the first group.
Well, I think that the great thing is I had to try it to believe it. And of course I'm looking outside, although the skies are clear, we have snow everywhere. I just can't get out on the road. And so this has been such a refreshing, new addition to my training regimen. And it's been cool. Like we're getting hundreds and hundreds of people every Wednesday morning. Of course, we're also running the Discord channel, which is fun for folks. But I'll say it again. I am amongst the converted. Okay. So get on the platform, get on ZWIFT, join us on WEDÖ Wednesday, Suffer Sunday, and get converted. I am joined by none other than Allison Tetrick, who just in the pre-show is just crushing all of us. As I said a second ago, George Hincapie. I'm going to start calling Johan JB1 just because he is he's our OG. And over there in Austin, Texas, JB2, JB Hager. It's going to be a fun session. We're talking about actually a lot of the races. We'll kind of jump around a little bit, but certainly cover the elite women and elite men quite extensively. Before we jump into that, today's show also brought to you by Athletic Greens. Talking about being somebody that's been converted. I'm telling you, I've been on the Athletic Greens for now, and with the travel pack, I can do it when I'm on the road. It's been a solid 2 months. I haven't missed a day. Full confession, I'm just not great when it comes to my diet is shit. I'm not great when it comes to eating all the stuff you're supposed to eat. These guys have come up with a formulation that kind of gets me there, right? And the cool story is, so it's this is the part I love. So the founder of Athletic Greens was having a lot of gut health issues. And he ended up on this crazy supplement program to try to get better. It was costing him $100 a day and all these goofy supplements. He said, there's got to be a better way. So he invented Athletic Greens. They've reinvented the formulation, dozens and dozens of times. Absolutely a game changer for me. By the way, less than $3 a day. George, have you been hammering your Athletic Greens?
Absolutely. Except I've been doing it a lot longer than you. I haven't stopped since the show in July. Totally hooked on the product. I love it. I got my family on it as well. So we're believers. I get a lot of questions about it. People ask a lot. They know I take it every day. And I think like a lot of people, they're like, really? Does it? And I say, listen, just give it, just commit, because it definitely makes a difference. Allison, you're next. I can see you. You don't eat enough vegetables.
I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have Athletic Greens. Sorry.
It's coming your way. Too much bourbon, too much beer, too much gravel, not enough greens. All right.
I'm on it.
Get on it.
But if you say converted one more time, I'm just like, I got to call my parents. So just give me a sec.
Your health and your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Make it easy. Go on over to Athletic Greens for a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/themove. And again, that's athleticgreens.com/themove. By the way, most of us are low in vitamin D too. So All right, let's jump into it. Allison, I feel like we should talk about the women's race first. I know that's your favorite, but and the reason I say that is, and our friends over at Velo News had an article today saying Marianne Vos is arguably the greatest female cyclist of all time.
Or cyclist, right? She just broke a record. So yeah. I think we cover the women's.
Fair play.
She just slammed that out. 8 elite world championship titles in cyclocross. Huge. Also, we're going in order of, I don't know. Do guys race bikes?
Occasionally.
Oh, hi. Yeah, but let's cover the women's race. Let's dive in. We're going to have some great insight. Super exciting race. United States hosting cyclocross championships for the second time. And we have one of the greatest riders of all time is Marianne Vos winning 8. No. Her first time she won a world championship title, 2006 at 19 years old.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. Like, she started racing way before I did. I raced with her, against her. She's still racing and winning, and she's only 34 years old.
Whoa. When you said that in the pre-show, somebody said, how old is she actually? And you said 34. I was like, wait a minute. I mean, think about that palmares, and she's only 34, and she could do that for 10 more years.
Yes. So we can talk about her for a second. She currently rides for team Jumbo Visma. Did I say that right, Johan?
Mm-hmm.
But she's 3-time world champion on the road. She's a track world champion in the scratch and points race. She also is the gold medalist in 2012. So somehow I had a career in cycling, after she's a several-time world champion. And then I stop road racing, and she's still just winning world champion. She's the GOAT, which I will clarify is the greatest of all time, I think, in women's cycling at this point. Last show go ahead.
Didn't you have a break also? Didn't you have a kind of a burnout a little bit, and she had a break of a few half a season?
Yeah, she had a little bit of a burnout. She won the Giro. She's won Flèche Wallonne 3 times. She's done a lot. And I think it was, you know how it is, right? She's carrying a big weight and responsibility, but looking at her quote, she's like said, I don't think about winning at all. As long as I'm healthy and competing, I love the battle, so she still is just showing up and loving the competition, which God bless her. How, but freaking she put on a show. She's smart. So there is
not only that, but we all know how important these starts of these races are. I mean, it's many times it means the whole thing. And she had a really terrible start, basically almost ended up on the ground on the second or third corner. So for her to hold her composure, not panic, slip back to, 8th or 9th place and just be able to pace herself back to the front. I mean, it's very, very impressive to see that.
On that note, can you guys shed some light on what the warm up is like? Because I can't imagine going that hard, that technical, shoulder to shoulder from the gun into hairpins. Tell me more about that.
Well, that's just sitting back as a guy who's never done a race like that. It's certainly at that level. I've done some fun cyclocross races here and there, but you can do the warm up, but the call up, right? You see, they call each guy and gal one at a time. So that your warm up is essentially going away, and then just they've got the lights just like you have in F1, and it is full gas. That must be the worst minute of the whole thing, just having to restart that engine, be stressed about your start position, being making sure you're in try to get some position for that first corner. I mean, it looks like, I just watched that, I'm like, I can't even look at this. It just looks terrible.
Yeah. So before we start this, full disclosure too, I've done a few local cyclocross races. And there's this whole shot, right? And in the women's race, and we can talk about the men's race shortly, but Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, who is our 2020, I believe, world champion. So you have top 3 Netherlands going through the first corner, but Celine gets the whole shot. But cyclocross is very painful. It's like mixing everything I don't like about bike racing all in one, like the warm up, then you get cold, you hand your puffy jacket to somebody, and then you go full gas into one corner and it's, 180 degrees in the mud. And then you have to get off your bike. Right.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys counted how many stairs were in that course, but it was a lot.
There were 38 steps. I mean, I didn't count them, but they talked about it all the time, about the 38 steps. already before the race. So I mean, that was very, very difficult. I mean, together with the climb, that was basically the two parts where the difference was made. And yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the course, it was the right mix. You know, the climb was definitely very hard. Have in mind, you know, that all these riders, including Marianne Vos, they already raced this course early in the season, but under completely different circumstances. It was raining the days before. It was muddy. It was much more technical, and so I think that actually was a big shock for all the racers, the top guys who were there. They had in their mind, they had this image of the type of course it was, and now it was dry, 15 degrees, and actually dusty, super fast. So that was a big difference compared to the beginning of the season.
I want to ask you, I think Johan's probably more of the purist with cross, being a Belgian, which the first national world championship was in 1950. So that's a baby in cycling world, right? But these newer man-made features, 34 steps and the tunnels and the bridges, and I think it's super exciting and great for spectators. Are there purists out there that don't like more of the man-made courses like this?
I mean, I've heard all kinds of different comments on the course. Personally, I think this particular course needed this and especially because of this weather. I mean, if it's in Belgium and it's in October, November, and it's muddy and you don't need to add much, it's already very hard like this. But I think this course was beautifully made, very, very spectacular for the people who were there. I mean, I saw a great show. I mean, I've seen some negative comments about the course, saying, "Oh, you know, it was too fast. It was like a gravel race, or it was a road race without asphalt." I disagree.
Johan, looking back about how this course came about was, you know, let's not forget this race was backed by one of America's largest, most iconic companies, which is awesome to see Walmart back in the World Championships here in the United States, hopefully giving our sport a little bit of a tailwind for this year. But basically, when they said they want a course that highlights some of the hardest obstacles in every course in Europe. So the organizer was just like, went to all the big races and said, I like this, I like this, I like this. I'm going to put it all into one. So I feel like they did a pretty good job in that. And they spared no expense in getting this course ready for the World Championships.
I think they did a great job. You know, that's the thing about World Championships, right? I think it's beautiful that you have a variation over the years of different courses. If you have a course and it's raining and it's muddy and half of it is running, then people can say, okay, this is a running race. So this was a hard course, although it was dry and fast, but the speed made it very, very hard. And no matter what the course was, even if it was supposed to be, okay, this is not your typical cyclocross course, but if you look at all the races, the podium was filled with the best riders. Right. There's not one single race where the best guy hasn't won.
And I had a question for Allison going back to the women's race, because we know that Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert didn't show up. Did that happen? And just educate me here. Did any of the top women decide to stay at home?
We had a couple of COVID positives. So you're missing some big top riders. You're missing Betsema and Wurst. And COVID positive test and then some symptoms. So some travel delays happened. So I think the women's field suffered less from having the top riders there, but we were missing two big riders that could have mixed in for sure.
Right. Well, hopefully their symptoms weren't as bad as George's are going to be after this next ad read here in a second.
A lot of people.
Sorry, JB, just one other thing before I forget, because as I watched the women's race, and here you have, what you could argue is the greatest female cyclist. Allison says cyclist of all time, with Brandt, and you could see the games being played. And I'm sitting here going, wait a second. Brandt has to be thinking, okay, this is the greatest of all time. So I have to sort of bow to her. And I mean, cyclocross to me is truly, and once it gets down to that point of the race, it's an individual race. Like there's no more strategy. There's no more teamwork. It is the strongest, smartest person that wins. But I don't think, I think Brandt was out there for herself, which she should have been, in my opinion. But I don't know what their relationship, I was waiting to see if there was some hand gestures or something going down. Mm-hmm. But there was plenty of games being played.
Yeah. And obviously they're sorry, Allison. They're riding for two different teams. Brown rides for Trek, Vos for Jumbo Visma, and they've been rivals all season. And especially on this course, Brandt knew exactly. She actually already said before the race, "This is what's going to happen. I'm going to go. Marianne is going to be on my wheel, and that's her right. And that's exactly what happened." So yeah, sorry, Allison.
Oh, no, it's okay. Lucinda is a previous world champion as well. So you have 3 Netherlands world champions. So I do want to discuss a little bit of the mix up at the podium, which is awesome. But you have Lucinda, who's a previous world champion, current until this year. And she's won worlds at TTT. She races for Trek Segafredo. She's also our current World Cup leader in cyclocross this year. She won 17 races this year. So Lucinda is just a relatively new compared to Vos, who's been racing since 2000 and, world champion in 2006. By the way, Ina Joko-Tukenberg, you guys know her, but she's just legendary. I will get a call from her tomorrow on any facts I get wrong. So that happened last show. So I said, maybe we should host a morning after with Ina for what I got wrong. So
Allison, she needs to listen to some old shows. That's all we do is screw stuff up.
She was like, "You did great, but this is what you got wrong." And I was like, "Man, Ina." So she directs Trek Segafredo. She's amazing and won Flanders and, everything in her own right. Now I'll get it wrong. So, but Lucinda, I had to play her game, right? Like she said she's slower, and I think it's a translation. I mean, she's got to go long. Vos, also something to note is she didn't put her nose in the wind for 30 minutes of a 55-minute race. So you say this is gravel, Johan. I'm telling you, gravel is not 55 minutes. You're looking at 12 hours, but that's beside the point. Anyway, so Vos doesn't even put her nose in the wind for 30 minutes in. So that's like well over 50% of the race. And finally, she's like, "Okay, Lucinda, I'll give you a pull."
You bring up a great point, Allie, because as I was watching it and the high speeds on the hard packed dirt, usually when you watch a cross race, the drafting isn't much of a factor. In this race, as I was watching, it definitely played a factor.
Yeah. And the finish was super headwindy. It didn't factor in the elite men's as much, but in the juniors and U23, it did. If there was a sprint finish, it's a block headwind, and it was a long sprint. So they were all but
Allison, going back to what you just said, if we ever said that to Johan, like they didn't take one pull for 30 minutes, whose fault is that? It would be the person in the front, right? Not the person in the back. If you're not asking to take a pull, it's their fault. So, just play their cards right.
Well, and honestly, I have some good photos of me trying to sprint Vos, and it does not happen. It's not pretty. Right. So Vos is boss. Like we can just hashtag that there. She's complete boss. And sometimes though, it's better to be with 2 though, George, if you're not a sprinter, right? Is it better to be with 2 or 4? So Lucinda just played her cards, and she went hard, and she was hoping to open that gap. And then you get there and you gamble and you go long. I agree.
And also Lucinda is more focused on cyclocross than Marianne for that purpose, right? that's her whole focus was the cyclocross season. It seems like, at least from the things that I've read.
Yeah. as a World Cup leader, she showed up to all the races, and she won 17. Like that's a lot of races this year to be winning. God, can we win 17 races in a career?
Fun to see.
Like you mentioned, Marianne has no weaknesses. There wasn't really anything different that Lucinda could have done, except for the fact that maybe Marianne would have made a mistake in a corner and maybe slid out like she did in the beginning. But obviously that didn't happen. They both rode an amazing race.
Yeah, I agree. There was nothing else that, and especially on this course, Brandt had no other choice. She did what she had to do, and she just had to accept that Vos was a bit faster at the finish.
Yeah. And she's just a very consistent rider. It was a tactical race. I think the Netherlands raced phenomenally. And then we have our wild card bronze medalist, Italian rider.
That's right.
Who unfortunately, Celine del Carmen Alvarado, a former world champion, kind of had a little mishap in the last lap. And then you have Sylvia getting the bronze medal for Italy, which is a huge deal.
She was so pumped.
Oh my God.
At the finish, I was like, you better get your hand out of that crowd. Who knows?
I mean, like, who doesn't love the best, like the world's best bronze medalists? Like bronze medalists are always the happiest, right? And she's so fun fact though.
Johan doesn't.
Oh, she's
back 24. In the day, somebody get third and they'd be happy. He was like, "What are you so happy about?"
Johan, listen to like TED Talks. The third places are the happiest because it's better than nothing. But she is on Valcor team, which is Elisa Balsamo's former team. Now Elisa is obviously on Trek Segafredo. So this is some really good Italian scouting of potential talent on the road as well. And she's only 24 years old. And I think that's relatively impressive. So it's kind of fun to watch.
Well, sounds like she'll be going up against Marianne Vos for quite some time. I think she's got a lot left in the tank.
Yeah. So I guess my only other key takeaways of the women's race is I do think once that gap was established with the top two, they looked like, what do you think, Johan, like riding 80%? You know, I mean, once you get over 40 seconds on a chase group, I felt like there was a little more time for tactics. So it became a little less full gas once that was established.
Yeah, I think especially Vos, she looked in control all the time. Never was she in any problems. And you know, Brandt only had the only possibility. I mean, what I think she could have done, but the result would have been the same. Would be basically doing a very long sprint, like the last half lap, really go full gas. But again, you know, on this course, sitting on the wheel gave so much advantage that there was nothing that she could have done differently, in my opinion.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let's just before we close up the women's, let's just say that Marianne Vos is in the history as the rider who has won the most cyclocross world championships ever. Male or female.
Straight up. She's got the Ocho.
Yeah. Her first was 16 years ago. And now look, boom. 8 years later.
Trivia question. Who was the form? I mean, a part of Marianne Vos, who had 7 already. Who was the other?
Jeannie Longo.
Cyclist who had 7 world cyclocross.
Oh, wow.
I didn't write down his name. Sorry, Johan. George, help the team.
I'm not there. I don't know.
Audrey
van der Poel.
Audrey van der Poel won one time. That was Eric de Vlaming, the brother of Roger de Vlaming.
Oh, that was my second guess. Okay. All right, we'll jump into the men's race. Plenty to talk about there. Before we do, this portion of the show. George, these guys they wanted to partner with us for so long. You're such a fucking wimp. You would never do it. And finally, I said, I'm doing it. They sent me a unit. I have to
stay on for this ad?
Yes, you stay right where you are. Look how hairy you are. Look at your face. All right. This portion of the show brought to you by MANSCAPED, the global leaders in men's below the waist grooming. MANSCAPED offers precision. Listen, George. Precision engineered tools for your family jewels, and is now available not just here in the US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and the EU. Buddy.
Hey, I got my box too. No,
I'm telling you, I was like, I don't know, man. If George will do it, then I'll just sit there because look, he's a lot of hair. I don't have any hair. Like, I can't talk about this. And then they sent me one. I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll try it. I was like, oh my God. Anna was like, yo. By the way, Anna Hansen and I met 14 years today in Denver, Colorado. Oh, wow. And Manscaped might be the only reason we make it another 14. This shit was, I'm telling you, I was just, oh, fuck. I love this. Hey, here's the other cool thing. These guys don't just make great product that we can all have fun with and really enjoy. But they've leaned in hard into testicular cancer, which is obviously something near and dear to my heart. That is their main charitable give back. And so for that, as a TC survivor, I'm eternally grateful. But for real, this is George. You haven't even said anything. Look, guys, if you're watching the show, look at his face.
I'm
look
listening.
At that. I could go 10 years and I wouldn't have that kind of hair. This is. And it's so funny.
Nice and
Here's just so you know, because I love you. But every time I see it in my bathroom cabinet, I think of you. I'm like, I'm sure George is at home manscaping right now. Special offer for our listeners, and not just our male listeners. I mean, probably all the women listening are probably like, you know what? This is a damn good idea. I'm getting one for Freddie and Teddy and Larry and all these other people. 20% off. There it is. 20% off and free shipping with the code Lance. That's me at MANSCAPED, MANSCAPED.com. That's 20% off. And the code is Lance, although it should be George.
I don't understand why the code's not George.
It should be George's hairy as fuck.
We'll keep it as Lance.
Yeah, that's great. Lance, and you met Anna after Marianne Vos won her first world champion.
That's right. That shows you how long she's, because it feels like a long ass time ago. Today's show also brought to you by Kuat. They make, and another one that I was hesitant to get on the game with, is I always drive Suburban or Denali's. So I just throw my bike in the back. But these fine folks at Kuat Racks, they said, let us just send you a rack. And this thing is, and people are like, it's so much easier. I'm like, is it? And then I said, it looks funny, but the Kuat Racks, these things actually look super dope on the back of the car, and you don't have to get your car dirty. You don't have to all this stuff in there. Just bam, you put it on. You don't take the wheels off. Total game changer for me. Other cool thing in the spirit of my favorite show, because Ozark is back on Netflix. These guys and gals are from Southwest Missouri. Now, the Ozark is probably southeast, but they're so far southwest, they probably call it Missouri. But the Kuat Racks are just next level. And I'd like to thank everybody there for hooking up with us and sending us some swag. We really appreciate it. Head on over to Kuat. That's KUAT.com. Use the promo code THEMOVE. Check this out. 30% off for checkout at checkout. The snow is going to soon start to melt here, and I'll be driving down to Fruta or even down Valley to Carbondale. My Kuat rack, game changer. All right, let's talk about the men's race. We all knew it, right? I love Johann's graphic behind him. I've never seen anybody finish a bike race like that. They had that goofy guy on Instagram that would do it going down these steep paved down hills. I thought he was crazy, but Tom Pidcock destroys the race and comes across the finish line with that pose, which was amazing. But we all knew this was kind of inevitable, right? Despite being, you saw, I guess we'll jump in, but one question for Johann, we touched on this earlier, the call up, I was surprised at how far back he was. For the clear favorite to be, I don't know, he's like number 25 or 26.
Yeah, but he still was on. He still was on the first
second row. Oh, was he still on the first row?
First row. Yeah, but Pidcock and Marianne Vos, both world championship champions. They haven't done the full season. Both of them are riders that have also other priorities, and so, for example, none of both could win the World Cup because they were not present at some of the World Cup races. But it was hard to bet against Pidcock on this course. I think if it would have been a little bit more technical, a little bit more muddy, maybe the real cyclocross guys, the specialist cyclocross guys like Iserbeet and Toon Aerts and Van der Haar, maybe they had a chance. But even then, I think it's the same thing. There was not much that could be done. He obviously there were some doubts because. Pidcock they all went on a little break, Christmas, New Year. And Pidcock actually went to the Ineos training camp. He skipped a few cyclocross races and then came back the weekend before the Worlds. And he had 2 times he had a great start, but he could not beat Iserbyt. He was 2 times third. So obviously Iserbyt and the Belgians got a little bit of morale out of that. But then you find out that he actually was on a training camp. He did 33 hours training on the road with the team. Then
just by the way, just average that out. That's what, just right around 4.5 hours a day. They're probably not doing 4.5. That's probably some 7-8 hour days.
Definitely
mixed in with some quote unquote easy 3 hour days. That's a big week.
Definitely. And especially, when I saw his interview, the last race he did in Belgium. So last Sunday, he was a bit disappointed, but at the end he said, yeah, but on Sunday, I'll be good. My form will be there. So he knew exactly what he was doing. And it was, it took one attack. He did one attack. The Belgians, they had to play their numbers game. They tried a little bit at the beginning, but you could see that he was in control all the time. Moved up whenever he needed to move up. And it was a one-man show, in my opinion.
Go on. Question for you on just going back to this the section with the steps. Is that more because supposedly there were 38 steps. They were there, but as you watched on TV, it was quite a long run. If you are a good runner, right, which we know Tom Pidcock is, are you actually running, or is that more just like, hey, let's get through this. This is power. Get back on the bike, or if you are in fact a good runner, is it advantageous?
No, I think it's a combination of both. These steps were very different to the steps that they normally do in Belgium and Holland, because these steps were long. So it was more running than climbing, actually, because you could see that the speed was a lot higher. Normally they're short steps and they kind of, take very short strides. But this was, this and the climb was both in the advantage of Pidcock. We all know he's a great climber.
Yeah,
on the
you
road
can say whatever, Johan. You can say whatever you want. I'm curious to know what was the Belgian reaction like. Could have they perhaps worked together better? Obviously, Pidcock was much stronger. Yeah. He's clearly an amazing bike handler, amazing cyclocrosser, amazing runner. Apparently, he posted a 5K time on Strava that was faster than anybody's ever seen.
Yeah, but that was a mistake. That was
GPS fail, but he's still very fast.
But
he did it with his live phone.
Was there something different that the Belgian team could have done? Because in the beginning it looked like they were kind of going after Pidcock on their own, perhaps attacking each other. Obviously, it's a very short, tight, fast course, so arguably it's tough to say how well they could have worked together, but it didn't look like they were helping each other at all, in my opinion. And
Johan, before you answer this, I just want a note for the listener. 6 Belgians in the top 10.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a Belgian / Dutch / British sport. But no, I don't think, I've read and heard some comments from the Belgians and also from Lars van der Haar, for example. Lars van der Haar in his post-race interview said, I was a bit too far back. If I would have been more in the front, I could have gone with him. I don't think he could have gone with him.
I don't think so either.
No. And the Belgians said that they, some of them said that 2 or 3 riders didn't give it all to work for Iserbyt at a certain point. I don't think it's, at those speeds, I think the average speed was above 26 kilometers per hour. How much harder can you go? If Pidcock goes 26.5, well, they were going 26. I don't think they could have done anything differently. I think the best quote came from Iserbyt, who was the co-favorite. He said, "You know what? I'm on my place today. I'm third. Van der Haar was a bit better than me, and Pidcock was way above everybody else. So, no."
I thought it was interesting that Pidcock was one of the only ones I saw to have fluids on, water bottle. Mm-hmm. Because as I watched the course, I was like, when the hell can you take a drink? But he also probably knew, like, he could have won by a minute if he wanted to, but he knew he could ease up, take in some fluids.
Well, the start finish line, you can take a sip.
Yeah. But a lot of those opt not to at all.
Well, if you look, both Vos and Pidcock had bottles and the others didn't, which and then afterwards I heard from another female rider that she was complaining about how dry the air was over there. And obviously they're not used to this at this point of the year, So,
well, it was right around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was right around 15, 16 Celsius, which, they would not have raced that intensely and that's not warm, but that's a hell of a lot warmer than what they're used to.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, you can't take bottle hand ups. That right?
No, you can only have a new bottle if you do a bike switch, but that's also something that we did, something very unique, First of all, it's very, very unique to see a cyclocross where everybody is in short sleeves. Mm-hmm. Never seen that before. Having bottles on the and no bike changes. So if you want a new bottle, you would have to take a new bike. You can't. The rule said that you can't. Nobody can hand you a bottle from the side of the road.
Well, you must really want a bottle. You really want a bottle if you go change a bike. Mm-hmm. I'm super thirsty.
Think about when we were doing time trials. I mean, if it was a prologue, 10 to 15K, obviously no bottle, but hot summer day, about an hour, you're most likely taking a bottle.
100%.
It's very hard to take a sip, but you're going to do it on a downhill or in the moment that you can. So I would definitely understand why they'd want to bring a water bottle.
Mm-hmm. And we've got to talk about the Superman finish again.
I love it. I love it.
And then I was thinking, they banned Super Tux in road racing. It's like, did he just do something that's going to get him DQ'd after he crashed
just
it?
Wait. Yeah. Well, somebody, believe me, it'd be fast. If you did that, go look the dude on Instagram who does it going downhill. He's going like 200 miles an hour. You cannot be more aero. But here's a cute story. So I watched the end of the race on my iPhone at my son's hockey game. And so I had it just kind of propped up. And when Pidcock came across the line like that, like all the other parents, like, what the fuck's he watching? But one dad's like, whoa, what's that guy doing? Like he had never seen a cyclocross race, probably never seen a bike race. He's like, what is that guy doing? I said, man, I don't know. I've never seen it before.
He did it once. There's a very nice picture somewhere in the British Championships. Yesterday's Superman position was a bit off. I think, but you know what? I mean, it also takes, even to do that, it takes the champion. You have to be a champion to be able to do that. Pidcock is a special guy. He's now world champion cyclocross in elites. I think it's the first time that somebody wins junior, under 23, and elite cyclocross.
Yep. That's true. And it's the first British, I think, isn't he?
The first British guy. They're also true. But this guy is just a collector of world titles. I mean, he was world champion cyclocross as a junior. He was world champion time trial on the road as a junior. Then he was world champion under 23 cyclocross, world champion under 23 mountain bike.
Yes.
Olympic champion mountain bike, of course.
Yep.
Then now world champion elite cyclocross. And then on top of that, he is also very unique. World champion mountain bike e-bikes.
Ooh, e-mountain bike.
E-mountain bikes. Yeah.
And George, I know you got to spend some time with him just a few months ago down in Miami, right? I think he was down at that event.
He was down at a charity event I did, and he was clear then that he wanted to be world champion cyclocross and also wanted to do a good Giro. So I would not put anything past this guy. He wants to be world champion on the mountain bike, cyclocross, and the road. I mean, there's no telling what this guy can do in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget. God, JB, remind me, but what was the show when we were talking about up and coming guys, young guys, and Johan at the end of it all says, "I have a name for you." Mm-hmm. And we're like, "Okay, who?" And he goes, "Tom Pidcock."
And none of us had ever heard the name.
And we were like, "Who? Who?" We sounded like a bunch of owls. Like, who? But that's the golden touch that Johan does have. But it wasn't that long ago, and we were like, "Who?"
It was not that long ago. That's true.
No.
But here's an interesting question for debate. Let's compare Pidcock to Van Aert and Van der Poel. So we always talk about the big three, right? Who, in your guys' opinion, is the best? Ooh. Is the number one
in cyclocross?
As a cyclist,
you mean total, like overall?
I mean, we all say Van der Poel and Van Aert. They're not there because they focus on something else. Yeah. So they're obviously really good on the road. Even Van der Poel also focuses on mountain bike. So as an overall cyclist,
Johan, I'm going to go ahead and go first. I'm going to say it depends on the day. They're all three that good that it really just depends on the day.
Fair answer. Totally a fair answer.
If you
and I tell you this Mathieu van der Poel, and we covered the Olympic mountain bike race and of course saw the crash. Something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, it looked bad. One of these crashes that take a couple weeks to recover from. Man, I don't think he's bluffing when he says he has to sit on the couch for an extended.
No, he's not. He's not bluffing. I also think though, you know what? And this is the danger and the risk you have with these kind of super athletes who can do it all, and they do everything. That at some point they have to take a rest. They have to. This is so hard on the body. Cyclocross races, mountain bike races. When do they rest? At some point your body is overcharged. But to come back to the question about the comparing the three, and my answer,
I would like to answer.
Okay, you can go. Yeah.
I think Wout van Aert is the best of those three at this point. I think Pidcock's young. They're all young, but man, that Wout van Aert is a bad man. He is a bad man.
Well, and if you watch the whole cross season, and I'm sure Johan can vouch for this. Ali, you probably watched more of it. Van Aert looked unbeatable. It's like, and as I watched this season wrapping up, I'm like, no one can touch him. However, this fast, roady favored course may have leveled that playing field.
I think, on this course, if the three of them would have been there, it's difficult to pick a favorite. I still think that, Van Aert and Van der Poel are a little bit ahead in terms of pure power. But, if you compare the three, we've been talking, and it was all the hype about Van der Poel, he can do everything. Then Van Aert comes in. But in this cycling nowadays, it's like everything goes so fast. And all of a sudden, you're young, and all of a sudden there's another young guy there. And he's basically already threatening you. So I'm going to say between the three guys, for me, Pidcock is the best rider of the three.
First of all, interesting. Yeah.
First of all, he's young. Let's not forget, he is only 22 years old. He's already 6 times world champion and Olympic champion at 22. Obviously, he's great on the road. Won a classic, was second in Amstel Gold Race, mountain biking Olympic champion, now world champion elite. But I think what he has to his favor compared to Van der Poel and Van Aert is that this guy, and you can actually say pretty with certain guarantees, if he focuses on it, this guy can win a Grand Tour.
Wow. Because
he's so good on the road. He won the Tour of Italy under 23. He can climb. He's been world champion time trial already. And I think, at this, it all depends. Who knows which turn a career can take. But man, this guy has everything.
Just ask Egan Bernal. And clearly in their problem, so they are needing they're needing somebody like Tom Pidcock to be the guy that you just described. Ali, before we sign off, I know you wanted to give a quick shout out to a few folks, and then we'll head on.
I thought it's just super cool to acknowledge the U23 champions and juniors. We had a couple cool parent-kid stories going on. One was the junior women's champion, Zoe Baxter, also Great Britain. which is super cool. She's the current road race world champion. She won the world championships in the cross race here. She's 17 years old. She's Welsh, and both her mother and father were professional cyclists. And her father, Magnus, won Paris-Roubaix in 2004. And her mother's a Great Britain national champion, which is super cool. And then Johan, there was another cool story on the father-son thing going on. And I don't know if you want to do that one.
Yeah,
quickly.
Thibaut Nys,
Lance is like giving me the sign, but I
gotta go shave my ball, but don't worry.
Yeah.
It's over here charging. It'll be fine.
Thibaut Nys, third. He's also still very young to be in the under 23 category, but son of legendary and multi-time world champion Sven Nys. I think that, and also comes back from injury and illness and so that's, obviously a big talent, Thibaut Nys. Thibaut Nys also, not forget, European champion under 23 on the road. So, it's unbelievable how these guys are multi-talented,
Look, we're and we will wrap after this, but we're gonna, it feels like we're getting to this point where we're going to stop saying it's unbelievable. Like they're just guys, you give them a number on their back and two wheels and a start and a finish line, and they just go figure it out. Like I think that's awesome. So
yeah, that's true.
Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been fun. The races were fun. I'll give Northwest Arkansas a shout out. And they got blessed with beautiful weather, it looked like, but it was fun to watch and fun to talk about. We'll see y'all soon.